entitled "Mom Demands I Sell My Property to Fund Her Daughter's College." Here's what happened when I refused. I'm a 34-year-old property owner with several houses in my hometown, a success story born from years of hard work, savvy investments, and sacrifices. My upbringing was modest. My parents were blue-collar workers who labored tirelessly to give my siblings and me a comfortable life. They dreamed of owning their home, a goal that always seemed just out of reach. Their struggles ignited my ambition to create a better life for myself and my family. During college, I met my wife, who also came from a challenging background. Raised by a single mother juggling multiple jobs, she understood the importance of financial responsibility. Together, we shared a vision of overcoming our struggles to provide stability for our future children. We worked tirelessly, buying and flipping houses, saving diligently, and investing wisely until we eventually owned several properties. Each one represented our hard work and commitment to a better future. Now, as the proud father of a son and a daughter, these properties are more than just investments. They symbolize our dedication to ensuring a secure future for our children. But everything changed when I encountered an entitled tenant named Emily, 40F. She had been renting a comfortable 3-bedroom house I purchased before marrying my wife. Located in a prime area close to her daughter's high school, the property had been a significant investment for me. Emily, a single mother abandoned by her husband shortly after their daughter was born, had been a reliable tenant. Aware of her circumstances, I offered her subsidized rent to help her afford the home. Over the years, I never raised her rent, maintaining a friendly landlord-tenant relationship. Recently, Emily's daughter, Lily, a high school senior, received acceptance to a prestigious out-of-state university. While this was a tremendous accomplishment, the costs were staggering, and her scholarship barely covered 10% of the tuition. Knowing the financial hurdles of higher education, I could see Emily was overwhelmed. One day, Emily asked to meet with me. I assumed it was about maintenance issues, but she soon surprised me. She expressed her gratitude for my kindness regarding the rent, then revealed her desperate wish for Lily to attend her dream school. After reviewing the costs, she realized she couldn't manage it alone. Even after seeking financial aid, applying for scholarships, and taking on a part-time job, I nodded sympathetically, expecting her to request a delayed rent payment, an understandable ask. But then Emily made an astonishing request. She wanted me to sell the property she was living in. I stared at her in disbelief as she explained that selling it would provide the funds for her daughter's education. "Are you serious?" I replied, struggling to comprehend her demand. "You want me to sell my property to pay for your daughter's college?" Emily's eyes pleaded with me as she insisted it was her only hope. She had even appraised the property and believed its sale would cover all of Lily's expenses. I couldn't believe what I was hearing. Selling my property wasn't an option, especially for someone else's daughter to attend a high-end university. I reminded Emily that the house meant a lot to me and that I wouldn't sell it on a whim. She suggested I could lend her the money instead, with Lily promising to pay me back after graduation. While I understood the value of education, I couldn't entertain such an outrageous request. I calmly explained that the property was essential for my livelihood and that her daughter's tuition should not be my responsibility. I suggested she reach out to her family for help or consider a more affordable option for Lily's education, but Emily continued to push, asserting that I was the only one who could help her. Realizing the conversation was going in circles, I left, asking her to refrain from discussing it further. I hoped she would see the absurdity of her request, but over the next few weeks, she grew increasingly insistent. With college approaching, Emily began pleading daily for me to sell my property and even stopped paying her rent in protest. Our previously amicable relationship soured, as she grew convinced that my refusal was selfish and jeopardized her daughter's future. Meanwhile, I was losing income due to her rent strike. I warned Emily that I would have to take legal action, but she remained unyielding, believing her demands were justified. The situation escalated when Emily began enlisting others in her cause. She shared her story with friends and neighbors, painting me as a callous landlord who refused to support a single mother and her dreams. She claimed that I was wealthy and unwilling to help. Soon, sympathy for her plight spread through the neighborhood, and rumors circulated that I was the villain in this narrative. Feeling cornered in my own community, my wife decided to intervene. She reached out to Emily for a calm discussion, hoping to resolve the escalating conflict. However, when they met, Emily launched into another tirade, insisting I had the means to sell the property, which she still believed was the only way to secure her daughter's future. My wife's earnest efforts to reason with Emily were met with unwavering conviction. Emily insisted that we had the means to finance her daughter's college education and accused us of selfishness. The conversation spiraled into a repetitive cycle, with Emily persistently urging my wife to persuade me to comply with her demands. Her social media posts portrayed me as an unsympathetic and wealthy landlord, unwilling to help a young girl achieve her dreams, which significantly impacted our neighbors and the local community. Some neighbors, once friendly with us, began to view us with skepticism. They started to believe I had the financial capability to alleviate her daughter's burdens but was choosing not to out of greed. Others, aware of my background, hard work, and the reality of my situation, shared my perspective and were equally appalled by Emily's brazen demand that I foot the bill. They reminded me of the need to protect my property and maintain the legacy I had worked so hard to build. As the community grew more divided, sympathy began to tilt toward Emily. Despite the mounting pressure, I remained steadfast in my decision to protect my property. I had invested years of hard work and sacrifice into it, and I wasn't about to part with it easily. Meanwhile, Emily continued to stoke the flames of discontent, accusing me of lacking empathy and exploiting her by allowing her to live in my property rent-free. Her social media posts became increasingly vocal, sharing stories of her daughter's determination and the sacrifices she made to prepare for college. The situation escalated from a private disagreement to a public spectacle, affecting my family as well. My children began to face bullying at school, their classmates echoing the false claims they had heard online. It was heartbreaking to see them distressed by the fallout from this situation. At that point, I decided it was time to take action. I had kept quiet, hoping Emily would relent, but now that my children were being impacted, I knew I had to set the record straight. I reached out to a lawyer specializing in property disputes and landlord-tenant conflicts. We swiftly drafted a cease and desist letter to halt Emily's defamatory actions and protect my reputation in the community. My lawyer informed me that this letter would be the first step in our legal battle, and if Emily didn't back down, we would pursue the matter in court. When Emily received the letter, she was understandably taken aback. She attempted to contact me by phone, but I chose not to respond. Instead, she sent me a text, expressing her desire to discuss the situation before it escalated further, claiming it was all a misunderstanding. In response, I stated my intention to take her to court and warned her to brace herself because she would regret trying to manipulate me. I knew this was going to be an uphill fight. This woman was relentless in insisting I should pay for her daughter's tuition, and she was tarnishing my family's reputation in the community and online. My lawyer was preparing our case for trial, outlining all the false accusations and the harm Emily had caused us over the past few months. When some relatives learned of my decision to take her to court, they suggested I should consider her situation since she was a single mother trying to do what was best for her child. So, Reddit, am I the **** for refusing to sell my property to pay for this entitled mother's daughter's college fees and instead dragging her to court? Update 1, Emily responded to our legal action with her own letter, filled with threats and more defamation. She accused me of charging high rent despite knowing her financial situation, which, according to her, made it impossible for her to save for her daughter's education. I couldn't believe how far she would go to lie and manipulate just to get what she wanted. Her accusations were baseless, and it was frustrating to watch her play the victim card after I had already provided her with subsidized rent. It was clear she was trying to twist the narrative in her favor, and I wasn't going to let that happen. Emily showed no signs of backing down. My lawyer, Matthew, reassured me we had a strong case, given the unfounded nature of her claims. However, he also cautioned that the legal process would be lengthy and exhausting. I never intended for this situation to escalate to a courtroom battle, especially with someone who had once been my tenant. But sometimes, you must stand your ground to protect what's yours. Emily might have her reasons, but I can't allow her to pressure me into selling my property. My family's future is at stake, and I'm determined to see this through, no matter how challenging it becomes. I'll keep you updated as the legal proceedings progress. Update 2, since my last update, the legal proceedings have officially begun. The anticipation leading up to the court date was excruciating, and the courtroom buzzed with tension as both parties presented their arguments and evidence. Emily, flanked by her attorney, portrayed herself as a struggling mother determined to secure her daughter's future. Her attorney painted a vivid picture of financial hardships, emphasizing how my property was her last lifeline for her daughter's dreams of attending that prestigious out-of-state university. Emily's testimony was emotional, her eyes brimming with tears as she recounted the sacrifices she had made as a single mother, the long hours she worked, and her unwavering commitment to her daughter's success. She detailed her relentless job searches and numerous scholarship applications, positioning herself as a mother who had left no stone unturned. Throughout the proceedings, Emily's attorney relentlessly characterized me as a wealthy, unsympathetic landlord who prioritized profit over a young girl's dreams by charging her high rent. They implied I had been aware of Emily's financial struggles yet continued to exploit her situation. But the most shocking twist came when Emily introduced a witness, a family friend, who claimed to have overheard a conversation between Emily and me where I allegedly promised to sell the property to fund her daughter's education. I sat in disbelief as this blatant falsehood unfolded in the courtroom. My attorney, Matthew, immediately challenged this claim, asserting that no such conversation had ever occurred. He adopted a methodical approach to discredit the witness's account. Matthew meticulously cross-examined the family friend, posing a series of detailed questions to establish the witness's credibility. He inquired about the date, time, and location of the supposed conversation, aiming to expose inconsistencies or gaps in their recollection. The family friend struggled to provide coherent answers, and without any concrete evidence, such as text messages or emails, their testimony began to crumble under scrutiny. To further undermine Emily's case, Matthew presented evidence that directly contradicted her claims by introducing records of text messages and emails exchanged between us during the alleged time of the promise. These messages clearly showed that the topic of selling the property to fund her daughter's education had never been discussed. It became evident that Emily was the one forcing me to consider selling my property in order to lend her money. Additionally, a neighbor living adjacent to Emily's property testified that she had been paying less rent than all the other tenants in the area. My lawyer presented receipts from other tenants to substantiate this claim. Matthew argued that the lack of any written or electronic communication regarding the alleged promise, combined with the neighbor's testimony, significantly cast doubt on the family friend's account, rendering it unreliable as concrete evidence. We then focused on demonstrating that Emily had intentionally gone to great lengths to slander my reputation on social media, resulting in the bullying of my children. My attorney presented a comprehensive record of Emily's posts and messages where she had portrayed me as an unsympathetic, heartless landlord who refused to support her daughter's dreams. These posts were filled with emotional appeals and outright falsehoods designed to gain sympathy from the community. We emphasized that these posts were crafted to create a narrative that depicted her as a struggling mother desperately trying to secure her daughter's future while, in reality, she was emotionally blackmailing me into selling my property. Matthew also introduced screenshots of social media comments and direct messages from individuals who engaged with Emily's posts. Some of these community members had formed negative opinions of me based on the misleading information she shared. The comments ranged from expressions of sympathy for Emily's plight to outright accusations that I was exploiting her situation. In addition to the social media evidence, we presented testimonies from my children, who had experienced bullying at school due to Emily's posts. They described how their classmates echoed the false claims they had seen online about their father, leading to name-calling and harassment. My attorney effectively argued that there was a direct connection between Emily's false accusations on social media and the bullying my children endured. The intentionally misleading narrative she had constructed had not only damaged my reputation but also directly impacted my family's well-being. This presentation of evidence highlighted how Emily's actions on social media led to real-life consequences for my children. As the legal proceedings progressed, I felt increasingly confident that justice would prevail. The evidence presented thus far illuminated the truth and exposed Emily's false claims against me. I believed the court would see through her manipulation and ensure a fair outcome. Update 3: We won. The past month had been a grueling experience filled with unexpected twists and turns. My lawyer continued to present evidence and testimonies, making it increasingly clear that Emily's claims were baseless. Her attempt to manipulate the situation by introducing a family friend who falsely testified about a promise I had never made crumbled under scrutiny. The lack of concrete evidence and inconsistencies in the witness's account severely undermined the validity of her claims. After a thorough examination of all the evidence and testimonies, the judge finally announced the verdict, ruling in my favor. This verdict came as a huge relief, validating that the judge had seen through all the baseless accusations. Emily was found guilty of defamation and ordered to pay damages for the harm she had caused to my reputation, which included back rent for the previous months along with additional fines. A restraining order was also issued, preventing Emily from making any further defamatory statements about me or my family. This ruling affirmed my right to protect my property and my reputation. As the legal battle concluded, I watched Emily beside her lawyer. Looking defeated, I turned to her daughter, Lily, and felt a pang of concern for the dreams that had been compromised by her mother's sense of entitlement. This nightmare was finally coming to an end. With justice served, it was a lesson for everyone about the importance of defending oneself against audacious demands. I could now move forward with a renewed sense of self-assurance, knowing my house and our livelihood were secure. I want to express my gratitude to everyone who supported me throughout this journey. The mental pressure and struggles my family faced were immense, but ultimately, truth prevailed. Update 4. It has been 6 months since my last update. Following my courtroom victory, the restraining order effectively silenced Emily, and the damages she was ordered to pay for defamation provided some solace for the harm done to my reputation. After I served her with an eviction notice, Emily and her daughter had to move out. While their circumstances remained challenging, I knew they were no longer my responsibility. I felt a twinge of sympathy for Lily's lost educational opportunities, but I also recognized that her mother's audacious request had put them in this difficult situation. Emily was forced to remove her defamatory social media posts as part of the court's ruling, and the extent of her lies quickly became apparent to everyone. The last I heard from them was when Lily reached out to me with an unexpected apology. I had watched her grow up, and despite cutting off contact after her mother's false accusations, I was surprised she wanted to connect again. Her message expressed genuine remorse for her mother's behavior and the consequences that had befallen their family. She thanked me for my patience and understanding throughout the ordeal, recognizing that her mother's actions had caused harm to both our families. Lily shared that they had relocated to a more affordable area and decided to attend a local college to pursue her education. She informed me that she had spoken to her mother after the legal proceedings and encouraged her to back off, expressing her determination to secure her future without making any more audacious demands. I felt sympathy for what Lily had to endure at such a young age due to her mother's entitlement. I told her that everyone deserves a second chance and admired her for taking control of her own destiny. I wished her the best of luck with her studies, assuring her that the past was behind us. Now that Emily and her daughter no longer reside on my property, life has settled into a new normal. The weight of the false accusations and the bullying our children experienced has lifted. We took action by reaching out to our children's school and addressing the bullying they endured.